everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of Talking Art. This is a weekly initiative where we intend to talk about contemporary art and hopefully have interesting conversations around it. For our very first episode, I'm pleased to have with me young emerging artists who have expanded their art practice via participating in art residencies. And I wanted to ask them and probe them around the residency space. So I'll introduce you to, first of all, Harmeet Ratan, who's mostly a sculptor, I believe, but he's also done other things and also made paintings and reliefs and those kind of things. And then there's Aditi, who has been moving from abstraction to collage and figuration, and that's been an interesting journey to see. And then there's Richa, who's the youngest amongst us, I think, and she was just part of Coach Pier's residency, which has just gone by a few 1 or 2 weeks back, I think. So hello everyone, and thanks a lot for being part of this show. Um, so now I'll just straight away begin my queries and questions and to initiate the conversation. First of all, why do you think that a student or an art graduate should choose to go to residencies after college instead of just continuing their art practice in their own studio or in their own home or whatever space they want to? Yeah, Richa. So you're the you're the youngest among the group, I think. So
Yes, yes,
why
yes.
so why did you choose to go to a residency and not just continue with making art in your own space?
बिकॉज एक स्पेस की ज़रूरत होती है एज अ आर्टिस्ट कि वहाँ जाके काम करने का एक अलग एक्सपीरियंस था मेरा खुद का वहाँ के लोगों से मतलब हम अपने स्पेस पे तो काम करते ही हैं बट जब हम किसी अदर स्पेस पे काम करते हैं जाके तो हमें बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलता है अदर आर्टिस्ट के साथ और मेरा सेल्फ एक्सपीरियंस ऐसा रहा कि वहाँ की जो सोसाइटी बेस्ड मैंने वहाँ जाके वर्क किया वो मेरे लिए काफ़ी अच्छा रहा इवन अदर आर्टिस्ट जो थे उनके लिए भी वो बहुत अच्छा स्पेस था बिकॉज एज अ यंग आर्टिस्ट होने के की वजह से बहुत सारे स्पेस ऐसे हैं जो एज अ रेजिडेंसी हमारे लिए बहुत अच्छे प्लेटफॉर्म रहता है क्योंकि वर्क तो हम सब अपने स्पेस पे कर ही रहे हैं अपने स्टूडियो में कर रहे हैं और बट जब हम किसी ऐसे स्पेस पे जाके काम करते हैं तो वो वहाँ से हमें बहुत कुछ लर्निंग करने को मिलता है और अपना काम दिखाने को मिलता है तो मेरे लिए तो यही अच्छा ऑप्शन था
सो रिचा, मतलब आपके केस में इंटरेक्शन बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट था आपके लिए
हाँ
दूसरे लोगों के साथ और इवन उस
पब्लिक
स्पेस
के साथ
पब्लिक के साथ. ओके, ओके. So okay, so I do see the social and interaction aspect in Richa's work and in Aditi's work, where you both, I think, in your visual practice, are engaging with the environment around. But say if there's someone who's very whose work is very mm, self-driven and it's all about the experience of the self and so on, what would that person learn in a residency scenario?
Are you asking me?
Anyone?
Yeah,
Anyone.
yeah.
Okay. So for me, I mean, obviously, residencies, I mean, offer new spaces, new perspectives, and in a way, sort of add new dimensions to my own work. And for the residency that I was a part of, there were people from different fields. There was this one who was a crime fiction writer, and then there was another one who was a theater director, and the third one was an illustrator. So for me, it was a lot of bouncing of new ideas, and I mean, in a way, you are sort of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And so yeah, that was like my take on it, and the reason why I mean wanted to apply for this particular residency.
So yours was the Indo-European residency, right? And okay, so did it have, okay, so it had people from other countries as well, right?
Yes. So the crime fiction writer was from Germany, and
Hmm.
he is also, apart from being a writer, he's also a publisher, and his
Hmm.
publishing setup is based out of, I think, Hong Kong.
Hmm.
And he's actually a graduate from Oxford. And the one from London was the theatre director who was trained at RADA. And the third one was a self-taught illustrator who had studied anthropology, and then kind of like discovered her uh, uh, you know her passion for illustrations, for
Hmm.
watercolors, and that's how.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And like for
Okay.
me, like yeah, sorry, please.
No, 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 no. Yeah. Sorry
Yeah,
to
so for
interject.
me, no worries. So, for me, being trained as a painter and interacting with all these people like was like a really good learning experience in a new place, of course.
New place and new people coming from different disciplines, right? That plays a big.
And disciplines and different areas, different cultures,
Hmm, hmm,
backgrounds.
hmm, hmm. So you're getting different perspectives. That means, like, if you're in your own space, you're not getting that. You're just in your own
Yes.
zone, and so there's also like simultaneous feedback also taking place. I assume that from fellow practitioners from different cultures and different disciplines, that must also be taking place, right?
There was, as you said, feedback, and also there was this, as I said, bouncing of ideas. How the crime fiction, like writer sees my work, and like how it kind of
Hmm,
is, the conversation sort of coming to my work. I
hmm,
mean, because like four of us, were staying in one bungalow, which was, like 100 years old, and the history of the bungalow was it was supposed to be knocked down the moment we left.
yeah,
So I mean,
yeah.
it
This
has
was in
its
Kolkata.
it has it was in
Kolkata, right?
Kolkata.
Yeah.
Yes, Kolkata. And the place had its own sort of history. And like the conversations always, like I mean, obviously it revolved around that, and it was someone from theater, how is she viewing the place, the interactions, and I mean, like, so that was the interaction that really affected, like the way even I articulated in the end my work. So yeah.
Hmm. 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 Harmeet, what about you? What was it in that you learned in a residency space as opposed to say either in your own studio or in an art college setting? So, by the way, Harmeet is a
Mhm.
peculiar case because the residencies he took part in was purely online, right? Because this was during the
Yes,
pandemic,
mostly. Yeah.
2020. Yeah. So,
My
how
journey
was
is
that?
all is yeah. It's all because of that pandemic happened. So I joined like three or four residencies online. So one is for there is one called Art for Change. Other one is Vanishing Girl, which is very
Hmm,
interesting thing. That is for abortion and everything. Yeah, it's a social concern about.
hmm,
So yeah, so that which is good experience. We according to me, residence is like you can share your experience and you can learn new things about
hmm,
socio-political things from other persons. For example, like if I have joined that Vanishing Girl residency, so I collect the data of like how that girls are surviving or not. So that was the main concern of that residency. So
hmm.
it's a totally different perspective, which we are not experience in college and in my even in not in studio. We didn't notice it. Ki what is happening in I mean around. So that is
Outside the
the
studio,
main,
what's happening
yeah,
outside the
outside the
studio,
studio.
and
Yeah,
yeah, and the different lenses. So the way that an artist or a purely creative, I don't know if there is something called purely creative, but
yeah,
some say young artists would look at a painting or a video or something. They would look at it
yeah,
in a
yeah,
different
yeah.
way, and
You can say
someone
that.
with say someone coming from a science fiction background or someone coming
Yeah, yeah,
from social work background will look at
yeah, yeah.
that
Some
very
from
differently.
yeah. Some
Hmm.
poets were there. I mean, it's more about you. I mean, it's okay. You are doing something. You are doing painting. It's okay. It's just medium for me.
Hmm.
The most important thing is you are interacting with other people and you are sharing
Hmm.
your thoughts. And and last thing, how you convey your message ultimately.
Hmm.
And and is it really? I mean, it should be. Uh, I mean, you can say that. Ki, uh, it, your message should be perfectly crisp. I mean, which you are doing and which you are talking about. It more. It's. I mean, ये आपस में दोनों जुड़ी हुई चीजें होनी चाहिए. If you're talking about something else and you are doing for that girl's thing and everything, but you are not doing. You're doing your own things. It should not happen. That experience you can learn only in residencies and that kind of things. Yeah, residencies or workshops and everything. Yeah.
That's interesting. So you mean you're referring to, if I caught that correctly, you're referring to a sincerity towards your subject, right? A
Yeah, sincerity
sincerity
of your
towards
subject. Yeah,
what you're talking about, and
most
not just concentrating
mostly.
on the form, and but also learning about more dimensions and aspects about
Hmm.
subject.
Because in your studio, you are doing your own thing. You are doing your painting. You are sometimes you change your subject also. Like in
Hmm.
morning, you are doing something like you are doing figurative work. In evening, you are doing abstraction. Sometimes it happens. But in
Hmm.
residencies and workshops, you can't do that. You have to focus and you have to do on one subject, and you are continuously you are attached with that thing, and then you can feel their labor, their uh, concern about everything. Yeah.
Okay, interesting, interesting. Um, in fact, so I'll just my next question was that how did the residency participation change your art practice, if at all?
Hmm.
Did it what new dimensions did it add, either in form or in maybe even the subject changed or something, whatever. So
Hmm.
I'll share my screen with you. I have compiled a few images of all of you. Um, so these are images of your works otherwise, and some images from your residency output.
Hmm.
So I just hang on. I will be sharing. Yeah. Okay. I hope you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
we
So
can.
Harmeet. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so
So
Harmeet,
which, yeah,
this is okay.
yeah.
So these are your
Please open that
regular.
work. Yeah, which that yeah.
Which one?
That
The blue
second one.
surface study,
इसके नीचे वाला. No, no. That residency art board. This
artboard
one.
वाला. हाँ. हाँ.
Yeah.
I
So yeah.
think इसमें इतना ही खुलेगा because of the software or something.
It's
But
okay. So that
so it's
yeah, it's a very
like
interesting work
the
for me.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just painting. That work for is for art for change. That residency happened in COVID times. So what
Hmm.
happened that I showed some images over there. You can see that labor is standing on the dead end. You can see that
Hmm.
flyover. So it's
Hmm.
symbolically when COVID happened, nobody was bothering for them. I mean, it's a political issue. Obviously,
Yeah.
we all know. So there is a one Faz Ahmad Faz poetry, and I relate both of them things. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
I mean, I forget the details what I have done in this work. So yeah. Anyway,
That's okay.
so that's second. Yeah,
Yeah. This also reminds me of that Salt March sculpture.
exactly. That yeah,
So did you have that reference in
exactly.
mind?
Dandy March. Yeah, yeah, definitely. So it's
Okay,
all
okay, okay.
symbolically. Mm.
Okay, so very
And
clever
they
juxtaposition. Yeah.
yeah. It's a
Hmm.
almost indirectly, sarcastically, it's satire, political satire. So yeah.
Okay, okay. And then I'll share some image before. Is it before the residency, or this is a work
Yeah,
called
I
study
think no, it's after the residency. It's just
after the
my
residency?
surface studies and my work. It's just learning. I mean, this is my AI changing landscape, which I am doing on theme. That work is depicting that moon and other mineral lands, which you can see that is shining lands in
Hmm.
both of that works. So it's a interesting
Hmm.
thing. Yeah. But that was not happened in residency. That's my. It was a
And
solo show in prep. Yeah.
अच्छा, इनमें से
Yeah.
कोई भी रेजिडेंसी से पहले का काम है क्या?
इनमें से नहीं तो आप आगे आइए. नेक्स्ट.
आई थिंक ये बाकी
that
तो
is वो
रेजिडेंट
vanishing girl, yeah, that residency hermit, yeah, this
ये
one,
वाला.
that blue one,
ओके.
yeah,
तो मैं
that
ये
was,
समझना चाहता हूँ कि रेजिडेंसी, अच्छा ओके, या
yeah,
डू
yeah.
यू हैव, या
So there is a one clock which is showing that anxiety, and I have written something on that canvas. So yeah, and that pendulum is showing the balance of men and women. It should be happy. There is a one feather is other side and the stone is other side. Yeah, it's all symbolically I've done. That was happened in that abortion, vanishing girls one, that residency. Yeah, and that chaku and knife and everything. Yeah,
ओके.
these all works.
एंड अच्छा, और ये जो है, जो ये काम है, जो रेजिडेंसी के बाद किए हैं
I think
आपने,
this one is, yeah, this one is before the residency.
बिफोर द रेजिडेंसी, तो मैं ये समझना
Yeah,
चाहता था कि आपको लगा है कि रेजिडेंसी में पार्ट लेने के बाद आपका आपके काम में कुछ बदलाव आया है?
हाँ, definitely. Uh, Change is constant. I mean, जब भी आप कोई काम करते हो चेंज तो आता ही है. तो आफ्टर रेजिडेंसी दैट थीम विच वर इन रेजिडेंसी आई एम डूइंग, डेफिनेटली नेक्स्ट पेंटिंग जो उसके बाद मैंने करी है उसमें वो सब्जेक्ट कहीं कहीं डायरेक्ट इनडायरेक्ट शो होना शुरू हो जाता है. या सो या
तो उसमें मतलब
अभी जो रिसेंट वर्क्स आई एम डूइंग, हाँ,
एक फ्लूइड तरीके से एक कंटिन्यूटी
इन्फ्लुएंस,
होती है. आपको रेजिडेंसी में सीखा,
हाँ
वो आपके काम में आ रहा है,
जी,
ये
या
भी रेजिडेंसी के बाद का काम है आपका.
या सो हाँ,
ओके.
yeah, this is after residency. Yeah, it's a very decent
Okay.
work. Yeah, it's
Okay. Okay. Going back to then रिचा, तो आपके काम में, सो ये रेजिडेंसी के पहले के काम है, ये दो काम,
Yeah.
so centered around women's issues, and this is done in coach pairs, this entire.
ये मैं, हाँ, ये खोज जो खिड़की एक्सटेंशन है वहाँ की आसपास की औरतों का मैंने घर डिजाइन किया था, बिकॉज वहाँ पे एक थीम है, वन रूम वन हाउस, जो कि पूरा एक रूम होता है जिसमें पूरा इंटायर वो अकेले एक रूम में स्पेंड करती है पूरा टाइम, और कैसे एक माइग्रेट वुमेन के लिए कितना स्ट्रगल रहता है एक सिटी में आने के बाद, और कितने दिन वो उस घर को डिजाइन करती है एंड ऑल, वो मैंने पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट पे काम किया था, और 15 दिन मैंने पूरा खिड़की एक्सटेंशन को पूरा विजिट किया एंड देन उसके बाद ये वर्क किया था, और उन घर की फोटोग्राफ और उन सारी लेडीज से मैंने बात किया, और वो मेरे लिए काफी इंटरेस्टिंग था, बिकॉज उस स्पेस पे जाके उन औरतों से बात करना और डेली उनके पास जाके बैठना और उनकी डेली लाइफ को देख के एंड देन फिर उनके घर में घूम के फिर मैंने ये वर्क को प्रेजेंट किया था कि कितना स्ट्रगल होता है एज अ वुमेन के लिए एक सिटी में आके अर्निंग करना एंड पूरे घर को संभालना, और लगभग वहाँ पे जो एक्सटेंशन है उनका जो भी बाहर से औरतें आती हैं या बाहर से लोग आते हैं, वो कैसे उस स्पेस में रहते हैं और कैसे उनके लिए चैलेंज होता है, और ये सारे का सारा काम आयरन में स्टिच करके मैंने किया था.
आयरन में स्टिच,
हाँ, ये
अच्छा
पूरा
ये,
आयरन, हाँ ये पूरा आयरन स्टिच है.
स्विच नहीं, क्या मुझे समझ नहीं आया ये
आयरन स्टिच,
सिलाई करके, सिलाई.
हाँ, स्टिचिंग मतलब, ओके, या अच्छा, ओके. इसमें आई होप जूमिंग का ऑप्शन होता है नहीं, बट मतलब ये डिसेबल दिखाता है, बट एनीवे, ओके, इंटरेस्टिंग. सो इवन मुझे तो फॉर्म, काम के फॉर्म में भी काफी बदलाव दिख रहा है. ये आपके पहले के काम है, और इसमें आई थिंक आपने रेजिडेंसी स्पेस में आर्किटेक्चरल स्पेस का काफी अच्छा यूटिलाइजेशन किया है. तो वो भी रेजिडेंसी का ही, रेजिडेंसी के माहौल से ही आया होगा वो बदलाव.
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, बिकॉज वो इंटायर जो वन मंथ था वो मेरे लिए काफी इंस्पायर करने वाला था, बिकॉज वहाँ की सिचुएशन, बिकॉज मेरा ऐसा स्पेस नहीं है जहाँ पे वन रूम वन हाउस का कॉन्सेप्ट हो, और वहाँ पे जाने के बाद मेरे को ऐसा लगा कि कैसे लोग रहते हैं।
सो रेजिडेंसी में कॉन्वर्जेशंस भी एक मटेरियल बन गई आपके लिए आर्ट वर्क क्रिएट करने के लिए, जो स्टूडियो में ज़्यादा नहीं होता है, आई प्रिज्यूम।
वो स्टूडियो में अभी तक मैं अपने यहीं की औरतों पे काम कर रही थी, बट जब मैं वहां पे गई तो मेरे को लगा कि मेरे को वहां की औरतों के ऊपर काम करना चाहिए, बिकॉज वहाँ की सिचुएशन क्या है और कैसे वहाँ सरवाइव कर रही है। तो वो मेरे लिए एक प्लस पॉइंट था कि उनके घर जाके मैं एज अ पब्लिक एरिया में जाके भी एक अलग तरीके का चैलेंज देखने को मिला कि कोई बात करता है और कोई नहीं बात करता है आपसे, कोई डोर मुंह पे बंद कर सकता है। हम बहुत सारी हाउस वर्कर ऐसी थी जो कि बात नहीं करना चाहती थी, बट जो वर्किंग वुमेन है जो काम कर रही हैं वो बहुत खुशी से बात करती थी और वो अपना घर भी दिखाती थी। तो वो मेरे लिए काफी इंस्पायर स्पेस रहा, उनसे बात करके, उनके साथ बैठ के, उनकी लाइफस्टाइल को देख के। और वो काफी उत्साहित हैं कि आगे हमें ग्रो करना है, आगे बढ़ना है, हमें हमारी नेक्स्ट जनरेशन ये काम ना करे, हम नए तरीके से लाइफ अचीव करें और आगे ग्रो करें। तो वो मेरे लिए काफी इंस्पायर था।
ओके, थैंक्स रिचा। सो मूविंग ऑन टू अदिति। अदिति, हाँ, ये रेजिडेंसी कोलकाता वाली रेजिडेंसी से पहले का है कि बाद का है? अच्छा, ये रेजिडेंसी का ही पार्ट है।
रेजिडेंसी के, हाँ जी, ये रेजिडेंसी पे मैंने बनाया था।
अच्छा, मुझे याद है आपका काम, मैंने एक बार आई थिंक ललित कला में देखा था, जिसमें एक बुक बनाई थी आपने, जिसमें सिर्फ ब्लैक ब्लैक ऑन वाइट पेजेस थे, मतलब नॉट ब्लैक ऑन वाइट पेजेस बट देयर वर स्ट्रिप्स ऑफ ब्लैक ऑन वाइट, आई थिंक ऐसा कुछ
या
काम था।
या
तो सो उस टाइम पे आप एब्स्ट्रैक्शन में थोड़ा काम कर रहे थे, और रेजिडेंसी में आपका एक कोलाज सीरीज मैं काफी देख रहा हूँ कुछ टाइम से, जो अभी शायद टेरेन आर्ट में भी एक पीस एग्जिबिट हुआ था।
जी।
अ, और आप तो ये जो कोलाज सीरीज है, ये रेजिडेंसी के बाद शुरू हुई थी कि पहले?
सो
क्योंकि मुझे कनेक्ट
जैसे या
में, हाँ।
सो जैसे आप मतलब बात कर रहे थे कि आपने उस शो में मेरी बुक्स देखी थी, एंड इट वाज
हम्म,
abstract in its nature. So I was already working on the idea of book format work since the time I mean I have been in college, and the reason I have always liked working in book format is simply because for me it is hello. Yeah. So
yeah.
for me, working with an idea, in a book format is sort of musing over an idea over and over again over extended period of time, which sort of combines into a book. And the way I see a book is, like the pages become the layers, जैसे हम पेंटिंग में करते हैं. And
हम्म,
so yes, I mean the idea of collage. You are getting bits of information from different sources. You are kind of reconstructing the story, which the idea is abstract in its own right. So in that sense, like I feel there's this continuing thread. And honestly speaking, like I like these digital collages have been made on Photoshop. So regarding this, so the thing is, my father is a photographer, and I have always assisted him since the time like I was like a young kid, and I used to do photography purely for commercial purposes, like like editing a photograph, as I said, for business purpose, for commercial purpose. I was always good at it. And in fact, the college magazines, these college catalogs were edited on Photoshop by me. It is just that I never really thought of utilizing that skill of mine for my artistic purposes. And while I was at the residency, I felt, I mean, Calcutta as a place, is obviously it's extremely rich in its architectural heritage. And there was so much information for me to process at that point of time, because when I went, it was October. Uh, Diwali still khatam hui thi, and like they had this Durga Puja, Kali Puja, like the atmosphere was like so full of energy, and like I was sort of searching. Yeah, so I was sort of searching ways to present that experience of mine, and in a way exploring options, and you can say visual imagery, finding ways out of my studio just to sort of put that idea forward. So in that sense, that is how this series developed. And while I was at the residency, like we got to spend 2 weeks at Shantiniketan. और हम लोगों को कला भवन शांति निकेतन, और हम लोगों को बोला गया था कि we had to pick up a department. So some people chose ceramics, like I chose printmaking. And while I was at printmaking, so the HOD there, no, the other one, the other
Mm,
image, yeah. So
yeah.
the HOD there, Mr. Apple Mukherjee, runs Gopo Studios, which is basically a studio for alternative forms of image photography. So in that sense, like my work has got a new dimension in sort of exploring alternative forms of photography, and just the idea of printmaking, the multiplicity of an image, just the concept. So that has really
Mm,
like helped me develop my thought process, explore new forms of image making. And so yeah, I mean, even at the residency, I actually worked on a video also, and the video, the image is not here. So the idea, the images were very kaleidoscopic, and I was kind of toying with the idea of the psychedelic. So the video sort of became like a moving image sketchbook. So yeah, that's
mm, 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 mm.
and yeah.
Alternative photography is in cyanotype and all of that, right? Analog.
Cyanotype, analog processes, alternative gum bichromate is something I'm exploring right now. And I love
Mm,
that medium because I think it really blurs the very thin line between painting and photography. It's very painterly,
mm,
the image that turn out.
mm, mm,
So
mm,
I mean, it's sort of, it gives a lot of abstract, uh, you can say, the imagery, because, it's somewhere it's erased. So yeah, the image almost becomes abstract. So
mm, mm.
working on those aesthetics, I think I've really, I'm kind of enjoying whatever I'm working on right now.
So this is interesting for me to learn that something that you were doing earlier, this residency space, it opened your mind to exploring that possibility, and making it a part of your regular art practice, which you might not have thought of in your studio had you not had this open space and these interactions and so on, right?
That's very true. And like you have opened this image. This is black and white drawings. So
Hmm,
like when I went there, as I said, there was like this. I would say like a blast of information that I was kind of exposed to simply because new city, new culture,
hmm,
and obviously new experiences, and just the city was sort of bursting with this energy of new. I mean, these festivals one after the other. And
hmm,
so, so I started off with something very simple. I started off drawing with white pen on black sheets, these domestic plants, which are also there in my own house. So that just, helped me sort of get comfortable in a new space. So this particular image of six full imperial streets of drawing is that. And, from there, I sort of opened myself to new, images and, new experiences and, kind of new mediums to put forward to.
hmm. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Aditi. Uh, I think that's very good input on your end, and um, so I'll just conclude this with a question that to young students, art students, or even to young artists, what kind of advice would you give when it comes to choosing a residency? So because today. The world is filled with all kinds of residencies. Even India, where the idea of residency was new, was still very new, say 10 years back or 12 years back. Today, there are all kinds of residencies that have come up. Delhi itself has like five, six residencies, maybe even more than that. Like maybe I'm not aware of more. And there are residencies all over the country now in places like Bhubaneswar. There's a very good residency. So, what parameters do you think an artist or an art student should keep in mind while looking for residencies and choosing one for themselves? Any one of you?
I think for me, it's a very individualistic sort of a thing. What might interest me might not interest the other one. While picking or choosing one residency to sort of apply. And also, I think it depends on the time factor. Like in college, we are sort of spending 3 or 4 years. It's a very elongated time. I mean, it obviously affects your thought process, your ideas. Like your execution time and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think it's a very individualistic. I mean, like where do you find your calling? I mean, where your heart lies. I think it's just very simple as that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, because I mean, it's an alternate space. You can say it's a residency is also an alternate space. You can use it like for a new medium for with connecting with people, which you are not doing in college,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
many people came like I mean, who is struggling in field, which they will never go to college to see your practice.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you,
Hmm. Hmm.
this is an interesting fact. You can connect with people over there after college or something. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Richa, you have anything to add? Why did you choose coach, by the way?
And
Uh,
sorry, one thing, many
Actually,
residencies
coach
chooses us. We are not
coach बहुत
sorry.
अच्छा space है as a
हाँ, we lost you, Richa. हाँ.
ऐसा नहीं है कि खोज बहुत सारी हाँ
Hmm.
हाय बहुत सारी रेजिडेंसी हम अप्लाई करते हैं और ऐसा नहीं है कि खोज एक ऐसा स्पेस है जिसपे मतलब आर्टिस्ट जाना चाहता है और वर्क करना चाहता है और क्योंकि वहाँ वहाँ का इन्वायरमेंट काफी अच्छा है एज अ यंग आर्टिस्ट के लिए इमर्जिंग आर्टिस्ट के लिए वो स्पेस काफी इन्फ्लुएंस करता है बिकॉज उसका पास्ट हिस्ट्री को देख के और काफी इंस्पायर करती हैं अदर आर्टिस्ट से मिलने के बाद बिकॉज हमारी रेजिडेंसी 1 मंथ की थी बट हम बहुत सारे आर्टिस्ट से मिले जाके और उनका स्टूडियो विजिट किया तो वो काफी मेरे लिए इंस्पायर करने वाला स्पेस था और आपका क्वेश्चन ये था कि आपने खोज क्यों चुना बट मैंने क्वेश्चन मतलब मेरा आंसर ये है कि खोज इस वजह से नहीं चुना कि वो एक अच्छा स्पेस है बट मैंने बहुत सारी रेजिडेंसी अप्लाई की थी
Like
बट
you
उसमें
like
से
it and people.
खोज मेरा एज अ ड्रीम था क्योंकि यंग आर्टिस्ट का हर हर किसी का एक ड्रीम होता है किसी स्पेस पे जाना और वहां पे जाके काम करना एज अ
Hmm.
रेजिडेंसी स्पेस बहुत अच्छा है वो और वहाँ पे जो यंग आर्टिस्ट आते हैं और बहुत सारे लोगों से मिलना होता है इवन पब्लिकली स्पेस जब हमें जब मैं कॉलेज से पास आउट हुई या मैं अपने स्पेस पे काम कर रही थी बट उसके बाद जब मैं अदर स्पेस पे जाके मैंने काम किया खोज में जाके काम किया तो वो मेरे लिए काफी इंस्पायरिंग स्पेस था
Hmm. हरमीत, आप कुछ बोल रहे थे कि
Yeah.
रेजिडेंसी आप नहीं
Yeah.
चुनते,
You just applying it.
ये आप रेजिडेंसी नहीं
You.
चुनते, रेजिडेंसी आप
I
नहीं
mean,
चुनती है।
yeah,
Of
definitely
course,
you apply
selection
and
process,
you got
but
selected. Yeah.
हाँ, बट अभी क्या है कि जैसे अगर एक टाइम पे कुछ 10 रेजिडेंसीज थी टू अप्लाई फॉर, अभी कुछ 30-35 रेजिडेंसीज हैं,
Yeah.
नॉट जस्ट इन इंडिया। आई मीन टुडे students are also looking abroad, like not just today,
Yeah.
even earlier they were, but world over there are all sorts of options. But yes, I think as Aditi
Yeah,
said
one
that
recipe I choose like when I learn कि मैंने वो जब like art for change. It's a very unique name. कि art for change. Okay, let's apply it. It's something
acha,
will new you get. Yeah.
so it's also
So
a kind of an that in itself
but
is a kind of an experiment, and
yeah.
it's artistic
Anyway,
of just कि चलो explore करते
and
हैं।
it's a, the names are like coach. You have to find
Yeah,
something. So,
definitely. Okay, cool. Okay. Okay, thanks a lot. That was a very,
thank you, Vinay.
very interesting conversation we had, I think. Thanks, Harmeet, Aditi, and Richa
Thank
for
you.
taking out your
Thanks, Vinay.
time.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Vinay, for inviting us.
no
Yeah.
issues. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
All
All the
right.
best.
Thank you. Take
Same
care.
thing,
Yeah.
you go. Take
Bye.
care.
Thank you so much.